You are here for a reason. There is a pattern in your life, a strange and frustrating loop you can't seem to escape. It might be in your relationships, your career, or your personal habits. You make a resolution. You promise yourself, this time will be different. You feel a surge of willpower, and for a while, everything seems to be on the right track. You believe you've finally broken free from the old cycle, that you are steering your life in a new, better direction. But then it happens. A subtle shift you can't quite explain. An old impulse reemerges. A familiar situation presents itself, and before you even realize what's happening, you react in the exact same way you swore you never would again. The boat of your life, which you were steering so carefully, is suddenly and inexplicably pulled off course. You are not where you intended to be, and you don't understand why. The feeling is a mix of frustration and helplessness. It's a deep, quiet sense of failure that whispers you are fundamentally broken or weak. Why can't you just do the thing you know you should do? Why do you keep returning to the same shore of disappointment, the same harbor of regret? It feels like some invisible anchor is lodged in the depths of your being, holding you back no matter how hard you try to sail away. You look for external causes. You blame your circumstances, the people around you, or just bad luck. You might think, if only this one thing were different, I would succeed. So you change your environment, you cut ties, you find a new job, you move to a new city. You change everything on the surface, hoping that by rearranging the scenery, you can finally escape the script that seems written for you. And for a moment, it feels like it works. The newness is a powerful distraction. The fresh start provides a temporary amnesia, but the pattern is not in the world outside of you. It is something you carry within. And so, after a few weeks or months or even years, the familiar current begins to pull at your boat once more. The same dynamics appear in your new relationships. The same frustrations surface in your new career. The same mistake repeats. This repetition can be soul-crushing. It leads to a state of cynicism where you start to believe that real change is impossible for you. You might even start to identify with the mistake, thinking, "This is just who I am. I'm the person who always gives up," or "I'm the person who always chooses the wrong partner." You mistake the symptom for the identity, the anchor for the entire ship. The psychologist Carl Jung saw this loop not as a sign of weakness, but as a profound and urgent summons. He understood that these recurring mistakes are not random, nor are they a punishment. They are a signal. They are a desperate message from a part of you that has been ignored, a part of you that holds immense power and wisdom, a part that will not stop knocking until you finally turn and listen. This is the core of our journey today. We are going to explore this Jungian idea that your greatest frustrations are actually gateways to your greatest growth. The very pattern that causes you so much pain holds the precise key to your liberation. The loop doesn't exist to trap you. It exists to teach you, and the only way out is to go deeper in. So the question we must ask is not, how do I stop this from happening? That is the question of a prisoner. The real question, the question of a future liberator, is different. It is the question that begins the journey to wholeness, the one that can finally calm the waters and set you on a true course. The question is this: what is this pattern trying to tell me? By asking this, you shift from being a victim of your life to being a student of your life. You begin a conversation with the deepest, most hidden parts of your own psyche. You start the process of making the unconscious conscious. And that, as Jung taught, is the great work of a human life. Before we discover the solution, we must first understand the trap. The most common reaction to a recurring mistake is to apply more force, more discipline, more willpower. We believe the problem is a lack of effort, so we resolve to paddle harder. We wake up earlier. We make stricter rules. We try to overpower the invisible current through sheer, white-knuckled determination. Imagine the navigator in our boat. After being pulled off course, their first instinct is to blame the paddle or their own weak arms. So they carve a bigger, stronger paddle. They spend all their energy on the tool, on the technique. If I just paddle with perfect form, they think, I can overcome this. But the force pulling them sideways is not a surface wind. It is a deep, powerful current. Paddling harder is like trying to shout down an earthquake. This is the logic of the conscious mind trying to solve a problem of the unconscious. Your conscious mind, your ego, is the part of you that sets goals and makes plans. It loves checklists and five-step solutions. When a plan fails, its only solution is to make a better, more rigid plan. It cannot comprehend a force that doesn't obey its rules. It's a brilliant captain who is completely unaware of the ocean's depths. This is why self-help advice that focuses purely on habits and productivity often fails in the long run for these deep issues. It's like giving our navigator a new motivational speech or a better time management system for paddling. It might create a short-term burst of progress, but it does nothing to address the massive, hidden river that is truly in control of the journey. The effort is heroic, but tragically misplaced. The second common trap is blame and shame. When paddling harder fails, we turn the anger inward. I am the problem, I am lazy, I am undisciplined, I am not good enough. This self-flagellation feels productive, like we're taking responsibility. But in reality, it's just another way of avoiding the real issue. Shame is a cage, not a key. It weakens the navigator, making them less capable of ever understanding the current. Jung would say this shame is precisely what the hidden part of you wants to avoid. The unconscious sends a message, the recurring mistake, and the conscious mind responds with shame. This makes the unconscious feel unheard and rejected, so it sends the message again, but louder. The mistake becomes more pronounced. The cycle deepens, fueled by the very shame that was meant to stop it. Think of it this way. A child is trying to tell you something important, but they don't have the right words, so they act out. They break a rule. If you respond only with punishment and shame, you never learn what they were trying to express. You silence the messenger, but the underlying problem remains, waiting to erupt again. Your unconscious is that child. Your recurring mistake is it acting out. These flawed solutions, brute force and self-blame, share a common error. They both treat the mistake as an enemy to be defeated. They declare war on a part of the self. And as in any civil war, the only possible outcome is the destruction of the whole. You cannot win a war against yourself. You can only exhaust yourself in a pointless, draining, and endless conflict. We are taught to be masters of our fate, to be captains of our soul. But what if the first step to true mastery is not control, but surrender? Not a surrender of defeat, but a surrender of curiosity. A willingness to stop paddling, to stop shouting, to stop blaming, and to simply be still. To let the boat drift for a moment. To listen. This stillness is terrifying at first. It feels like giving up. The ego screams that you will lose control, that you will drift into oblivion. But it is in this quiet space, this momentary truce in the war against yourself, that a new kind of perception becomes possible. It is here that you can finally begin to sense the hidden forces that have been shaping your journey all along. This is the trap in its entirety. We try to solve an internal, unconscious problem with external, conscious tools. We try to win a battle that is actually a plea for communication. The more we fight, the more entrenched the pattern becomes. The cycle isn't caused by the mistake itself. It's caused by our misunderstanding of the mistake. Consider a recurring argument in a relationship. Your flawed solution is to try and win the argument with better logic, brute force, or to blame yourself entirely, shame. Both fail. The real path is to ask, why is this specific argument happening again? What fear or need inside of me is being triggered here? The argument isn't the problem. It's a map to the problem. Or consider a pattern of procrastination. You try to fix it with productivity apps and stricter schedules, but the procrastination continues. The real question is, what am I afraid of? Am I afraid of failure, of success? What is this inaction protecting me from? The procrastination isn't laziness. It's a form of self-preservation that has become distorted and unhelpful. So you have fought, you have struggled, you have blamed, and you are still here in this same place. The boat is still drifting in a circle. This is not a tragedy. It is an opportunity. Your old methods have proven themselves useless, clearing the way for a new, more profound approach. The failure of the old way is the necessary prerequisite for discovering the true way. Your exhaustion is a gift. Your frustration is a signpost. The fact that you are here seeking an answer means you are ready to stop fighting the wave and finally learn to read the water. You are ready to meet the part of you that has been calling your name, not with a sword but with an open hand. You are ready for the great pivot. The turning point in this journey comes when we stop. Just stop. We stop paddling, we stop blaming, we stop trying to force a result. In the world of our metaphor, the navigator lays down their broken oar. They sit in the drifting boat, and for the first time, they simply observe. They quiet the frantic voice of the ego and attune themselves to a deeper reality. This is where the wisdom of Carl Jung enters, not as a complex theory, but as a simple, radical instruction. He proposed that the psyche, like nature, seeks balance. It seeks wholeness. If a part of you is cast into shadow, repressed and ignored, the psyche will do everything in its power to bring it back into the light. Your recurring mistake is its most powerful tool for doing so. And so we arrive at the central thesis of our journey, the key that unlocks the cycle. Your recurring mistakes are not failures. They are messages from the hidden parts of yourself, and you will only be free when you learn to read them. The mistake is not the problem. It is the curriculum. It is a homing signal from your own lost treasure. Imagine our navigator in their quiet boat. As they gaze into the water, no longer fighting, they begin to see it. A faint, shimmering, powerful current flowing deep beneath the calm surface. The unseen river. It has been there all along, the true source of their boat's motion. It is vast, ancient, and powerful. And for the first time, they see it not as an enemy, but with a sense of awe. This unseen river is Jung's concept of the unconscious. It is the vast, hidden part of your mind that holds your repressed memories, your forgotten instincts, your undeveloped potentials, and your deepest archetypes. Your conscious ego is the small boat, bobbing on the surface. The unseen river is the immense, powerful body of water that determines the true currents of your life. You cannot fight this river. You cannot dam it. To try and do so is the definition of futility and the source of all neurosis. The goal is not to defeat the unseen river. The goal is to become a master navigator who understands its currents. The goal is to get in harmony with it, to use its immense power to guide you, rather than be thrown around by it unknowingly. This is the pivot. The problem was never the boat, the paddle, or the navigator's strength. The problem was that the navigator was using a map of the surface to navigate the depths. They were blind to the most important force shaping their journey. The moment of revelation is not about finding a new tool, but gaining a new sight. Every time you repeated your mistake, every time you felt that inexplicable pull, it was the unseen river trying to make its presence known. The whirlpool that kept trapping you, it wasn't a prison. It was a place of immense energy, a signpost marking a critical junction in the river below. It was shouting, "Look here. There is something important underneath this spot." This changes everything. The source of your greatest frustration now becomes the source of your greatest information. The places where you feel most stuck are the very places you need to begin your exploration. You stop asking, "How do I get away from this whirlpool?" and start asking, "What is the nature of the current that creates this whirlpool?" This is the beginning of what Jung called individuation. It is the lifelong process of integrating the unconscious into consciousness, of becoming a whole, complete person. It is the journey from being a puppet of your hidden complexes to being a conscious partner with the vast intelligence of your own psyche. It is the journey from the small boat to the mastery of the entire river. So what does this look like in your actual life? It means the next time the old habit emerges, the next time you find yourself in that familiar, frustrating situation, you take a different action. You don't fight. You don't flee. You don't blame. You pause. You get curious. You ask the question, "Hello, old pattern. What are you here to teach me today?" This shift in perspective is the most powerful move you can ever make. It is the difference between being a pawn and a player. You stop seeing your life as a series of mistakes to be corrected and start seeing it as a series of messages to be deciphered. You become a detective of your own soul, a cartographer of your own inner world. This does not mean you will magically stop making mistakes. The river will still have its powerful currents, but you will no longer be thrashed around by them unknowingly. You will begin to anticipate them. You will learn their shape, their rhythm, their power. And you will begin, slowly at first, to learn how to steer your boat within them, using their own energy. This path requires courage. It is far easier to blame the world or to hate yourself than it is to turn and face the hidden dragons within your own psyche. It requires a quiet, persistent curiosity. But it is the only path that leads to authentic freedom. It is the path from repetition to revelation. The great pivot is this realization. The force that you thought was your greatest adversary is, in fact, your greatest and most powerful ally. It is the missing part of you, and it has been trying to come home. Your only job is to stop fighting and start listening, so you can finally draw the map that leads you back to your own wholeness. So we have found our new perspective. We must now unpack this wisdom. How do we actually learn to read the messages from the unseen river? The first step is to understand what the river is made of. Jung called this material the shadow. The shadow is everything in ourselves that we have disowned, repressed, or refused to see. It is not necessarily evil. The shadow contains our creativity, our vitality, our assertiveness, our vulnerability, any part of ourselves that didn't fit with the person we thought we were supposed to be. If you were taught to always be nice, your anger and assertiveness were cast into the shadow. If you were taught to be strong, your fear and sensitivity were banished to the depths. These repressed parts don't die. They coalesce in the unconscious, forming a powerful, autonomous current in the unseen river. The recurring mistake is often this shadow energy bursting forth, demanding to be seen. The person who is always nice suddenly has an explosive outburst of anger. That outburst is the mistake, but it is a message from their buried assertiveness. To begin mapping the river, you must practice shadow work. This begins with radical self-honesty. Look at your recurring mistake. Let's say it's chronic procrastination. Ask yourself, what quality am I missing that this procrastination is a distorted version of? Perhaps it's not laziness. Perhaps it's a deep need for rest, play, or freedom that your hyperproductive ego has rejected. The second key concept is projection. Because we cannot see the shadow in ourselves, we unconsciously project it onto others. We see our own disowned traits in the people around us. The things that irritate you most about other people are often clues to your own unacknowledged shadow. Your annoyance is a compass pointing inward. Our navigator looking into the water might at first see monsters. They might see a terrifying serpent or a grasping demon in the depths, but with patient observation, they realize they are not seeing a monster. They are seeing their own boat's shadow, warped and distorted by the water. The monster is a projection of their own fear onto the river. So think about the person who consistently frustrates you, the arrogant colleague, the needy friend, the chaotic family member. Ask yourself, what part of them is also a repressed part of me? Do you despise their arrogance because your own confidence was crushed? Does their neediness trigger you because you never allow yourself to be vulnerable? Their behavior is a mirror. The third step in navigating the river is to understand the language of symbols. The unconscious does not speak in plain English. It speaks in dreams, in fantasies, in slips of the tongue, and in the symbolic nature of your recurring mistakes. To understand the river, you must learn to think like a poet, not an engineer. Let's say you keep getting into financial trouble. On the surface, it's a math problem. But symbolically, what does money represent to you? Freedom, security, power. Your recurring financial mistake might not be about money at all. It might be a message about a deep-seated fear of being trapped or a disowned desire for power and influence in the world. Our navigator learns this new language. They lower their sounding line into the river's currents. The line is not measuring depth but meaning. When it touches a strong current, a place where the boat always gets stuck, it doesn't return a number. It brings back a symbol, a waterlogged book, a single white feather, a child's toy. The task is then to sit with this symbol, to meditate on it. A feather. What does that mean to me? Lightness, flight, freedom. Is the river telling me my life has become too heavy, too serious? Is my mistake a clumsy attempt to find lightness? This is not about finding the right answer. It is about engaging in a living dialogue with your own soul. By engaging with the shadow, withdrawing our projections, and learning the language of symbols, we are doing something remarkable. We are building a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. We are creating a communication channel. The small boat of the ego is no longer isolated from the wisdom of the unseen river. This process slowly and steadily transforms the river from a source of terror into a source of guidance. You begin to feel its currents not as threats but as nudges. Go this way. Pay attention here. The mistake no longer feels like a failure, but like a tap on the shoulder from a wise ancient guide. You realize that the unseen river was never trying to harm you. It was trying to make you whole. Wholeness, in the Jungian sense, is not perfection. It is completeness. It means embracing all parts of yourself, the light and the dark, the strong and the weak, the rational and the irrational. The river doesn't want to drown you. It wants to be reunited with the surface. This is the profound gift hidden inside your most persistent problem. The thing you are most ashamed of, the pattern you most want to hide, is the very thing that contains the energy, the wisdom, and the vitality you are missing. Your wound is not just a wound. It is also an opening, a portal to the vast, powerful, and wise world of your own hidden depths. Let's apply this. Think of a mistake you repeat in your career. Perhaps you consistently fail to ask for a raise or promotion. Your conscious mind calls it humility or patience. But what if it's a message from your shadow? What if it's a disowned ambition or a fear of your own power that you were taught to suppress? To engage with this, you wouldn't just force yourself to be more aggressive. Instead, you would get curious. You might journal about your feelings around power. You might notice how you react when others display ambition. You are not trying to fix your behavior directly. You are trying to understand the hidden belief system that drives the behavior. Or a relationship pattern. You are always attracted to emotionally unavailable partners. The mistake is choosing them again and again. The flawed solution is to create a checklist for better partners. The Jungian approach is to ask, what part of me is emotionally unavailable? What is this pattern protecting me from? Am I recreating a familiar childhood dynamic? The integration of this insight is life-altering. You start to see that the world is a grand, symbolic mirror for your inner state. The people you meet, the challenges you face, they are all part of the curriculum. Life is no longer a series of random events, but a meaningful, coherent, and deeply personal dialogue between you and the universe. This journey is not quick, and it is not easy. It is the work of a lifetime, but every single step you take on this path reduces the painful friction in your life. Every message you successfully decipher from the unseen river lessens its need to shout. The whirlpools don't vanish, but they become calmer, their purpose understood. Remember, the goal isn't to create a perfectly calm, still lake. That would be a dead lake. The goal is to become the navigator who can skillfully and joyfully sail the living, dynamic, powerful waters of their own being. The currents give the water life. Your shadow material gives you depth, vitality, and wholeness. The power you were fighting against was always your own. The wisdom you were seeking in the outside world was always waiting within you. The recurring mistake was simply the address, sent over and over to the location of your own buried treasure. The only thing that has to change is your willingness to open the letter. Let's consider the shadow of an entire society. Cultures that prize logic and productivity often cast intuition and rest into the collective shadow. This results in widespread burnout and a sense of meaninglessness. The societal mistake of burnout is a message from the collective unconscious, demanding that we reintegrate rest, play, and soulfulness. Your personal journey of integration is therefore not just a selfish act. It is a service to the world. A whole person, one who is in dialogue with their own depths, no longer needs to project their unhealed wounds onto others. They move through the world with less judgment, more compassion, and a quiet, solid presence. In our metaphor, the navigator who has mapped the river no longer fears storms. They understand that a storm on the surface is just a temporary disturbance. Their true guidance comes from the deep, consistent currents below. This gives them a profound sense of stability and peace, even when the surface of life is chaotic. The process is one of befriending, not banishing. You learn to have conversations with your anxiety, to ask your anger what boundary has been crossed, to ask your sadness what has been lost. These emotions become allies, sources of information, trusted advisors in your inner council. They are no longer enemies to be suppressed. Think of your most persistent, embarrassing flaw, the one you hope no one ever discovers. Jung would say that is precisely where your gold is hidden. Your task is to metaphorically dig in that exact spot, to approach that flaw with relentless curiosity. What is it protecting? What is it compensating for? What is its secret, positive intention? This illumination is a slow dawn, not a sudden lightning flash. It comes from the patient work of observation, journaling, reflection, and honest conversation. It is the gradual creation of your own personal mythology, your own map of the soul. No one can give you this map. It can only be discovered through your own courageous exploration. The freedom this brings is not the freedom from problems. It is the freedom from being a problem to yourself. It is the end of the inner civil war. It is the peace that comes from knowing that every part of you has a place, a voice, and a purpose within the whole. It is the shift from self-improvement to self-reclamation. Let's revisit the idea of the whirlpool. Before, it was a terrifying trap. Now the navigator sees it on the horizon and knows, that is a place of great power, a convergence of deep currents. I should approach with respect and awareness, for there is much to be learned there. The fear is replaced by a respectful, focused attention. In life, this means when you feel the pull of the old, destructive habit, you don't panic, you recognize it. Here is my old friend, the impulse to overwork. Hello, I know you are here because I am feeling insecure. Thank you for the signal. I will address the insecurity directly instead of getting lost in your frantic energy. This is the essence of emotional alchemy. You are taking the raw, leaden metal of your unconscious reactions and transforming it into the golden wisdom of conscious awareness. The mistake is the lead. The curious, compassionate attention is the alchemical fire. The integrated insight is the gold. Each time you do this, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are carving a new channel, a new neural pathway. The old reactive loop weakens from disuse. The new, conscious, curious pathway strengthens with use. You are not just understanding the river, you are helping to shape its future flow. The ultimate goal of this illumination is not to have a perfect map. The river is alive. It is always changing. The goal is to become the kind of person who is no longer afraid of the unknown waters, the person who trusts their ability to navigate whatever currents may come. The goal is the navigator, not the map. And so the wisdom is unpacked. The shadow is the substance of the river. Projection is how it distorts our vision. Symbols are its language, and integration is the sacred act of building a bridge. This is the work, and the reward is not a life without problems, but a life that is deep, meaningful, and authentically your own. And so we arrive at the great synthesis, the aha moment where all the pieces click into place. We have journeyed from the frustration of the loop, through the trap of flawed solutions, to the profound turning point of a new perspective. We have illuminated the hidden landscape of the psyche. Now we see it all as one cohesive whole. The navigator stands in their boat. They look down and the water is now perfectly clear like glass. The unseen river is no longer unseen. It is a brilliant, majestic river of golden light flowing directly beneath them. They see its eddies, its currents, its depths. It is not separate from the lake. It is the lake's true nature. And in this moment of clarity, the navigator understands. The river was never pulling the boat off course. The river is the course, the only course. The boat's seeming path on the surface was an illusion, a fiction created by an ego that didn't know the whole story. The only real journey is the journey of the river. The recurring mistake was the friction between the navigator's imagined path and the river's real one. It was the universe telling you again and again, you are going the wrong way. Not the wrong way for me, the wrong way for you. Your true path, your authentic self, is over here. The mistake was a course correction from your own soul. This is the ultimate reframing. Your greatest failure is revealed to be your most loyal guide. The thing that brought you the most shame is revealed to be the herald of your deepest truth. The anchor that you thought was holding you back was actually a plumb line, showing you the depth and richness of your own being. And with this understanding, the fight is over. The war is won not by victory but by union. The navigator raises their hands, not in surrender but in greeting. They are no longer just the person in the boat. They are the boat, the lake, and the river. They are the conscious mind in loving, respectful partnership with the vast, ancient unconscious. Let us state the thesis again, but with this new, profound clarity. Your recurring mistakes are the sacred call of your unintegrated self. They are not a sign of your brokenness, but a testament to your psyche's relentless, loving drive towards wholeness. And your freedom is not found by silencing them, but by finally, gratefully, understanding their song. The energy you spent fighting the current can now be used to navigate it. The focus you spent on hiding your flaws can now be used to understand them. The result is not a perfect life, but an authentic one. A life where you are no longer at war with your own depths. A life of immense power, peace, and integrity. This is the moment when the student of life becomes a master. Not a master of control, but a master of attention, of listening, of harmony. You have learned the single most important lesson, that the way out is through, the way up is down, and the adversary is the ally. All the pain, all the frustration of the repeating loop, it all had a purpose. It was the pressure needed to create this diamond of self-awareness. It was the confusing labyrinth that was designed to lead you, in the end, not to a monster, but to the treasure in the center of your own heart. The journey was the destination. The metaphor has served its purpose. The river and the boat have brought us here, to this place of understanding. Now, we must let them go and bring this wisdom back into the landscape of your own life. The river is not in some mythical realm. It is flowing through you, right now. The boat is your awareness in this very moment. You don't need a special tool or a guru. You only need a new kind of attention. The laboratory for this great work is your daily life. The materials are your frustrations, your impulses, your dreams, and your relationships. The work begins the very next time you feel the familiar pull of the old pattern. In that moment when the old script is handed to you, you have a choice. You can read your lines as you always have, or you can pause. You can put the script down. You can look up from the stage and ask, who wrote this play? And why was I cast in this role? What is the deeper story being told here? This is not about finding a final answer. The unconscious is infinite. You will never map it all. This is about changing your fundamental relationship with yourself. It is about moving from a state of internal division to a state of internal dialogue. A state of curiosity and respect for the totality of who you are. So I will not leave you with a list of things to do. To-do lists are the language of the ego, of the frantic navigator. Instead, I will leave you with a single, transformative question. A question to carry with you, to hold in your heart. A question that can serve as your compass as you navigate the beautiful, mysterious waters of your own being. The question is this: take your most persistent, recurring mistake, the one that causes you the most pain. Now hold it gently in your mind and ask with genuine, compassionate curiosity, if this were not a failure but a messenger, what would its message be? Just ask the question. Don't force an answer. Let it echo in the quiet spaces of your mind. The asking itself is the action. The asking is the turning point. The asking is the beginning of the dialogue. It is the first note in the song of your own wholeness. The answer will come not as a thought but as a subtle shift in how you see the world. By asking this question, you are telling the hidden parts of yourself, I am finally ready to listen. You are signaling to the unseen river that you are no longer an adversary, but a partner. You are laying down your arms and extending a hand, ready for the great and beautiful work of becoming who you truly are. This is the path to freedom. Not freedom from the challenges of life, but freedom from the prison of repetition. It is the discovery that your life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. A mystery whose clues are hidden in the very places you were most afraid to look. Embrace your patterns, honor their messages, follow them into the depths. For in the heart of your oldest mistake, you will not find your greatest flaw. You will find the deepest, most persistent, and most powerful truth of who you are, waiting patiently for you to finally come home. The journey inward is the most courageous one you will ever take. It doesn't require you to go anywhere, only to be where you are with a new level of awareness. The repetitive cycle was never a cage, it was a cocoon. And the struggle was the necessary force for the transformation that is now possible. You are not broken, you are not flawed, you are simply incomplete, and all the parts of you are calling out, seeking reunion. The pain of your repeated mistake is the pain of separation. The peace you seek is the peace of integration, of becoming one undivided self. From this day forward, see every moment of frustration as an invitation, every pull of the old habit as a signal, every recurring obstacle as a signpost pointing toward a hidden part of your own inner landscape that is ready to be explored, understood, and welcomed back into the whole. You are the explorer, and your life is the unmapped territory. The power to break the cycle was never in fighting the old story. It was always in your willingness to listen for the new one. A story that is deeper, truer, and infinitely more interesting. A story that only you can uncover because it is the unique and sacred story of your own soul. This is the deep, transformative wisdom of Carl Jung. It's a call to courage, a call to curiosity, and a call to compassion for every part of your being. Trust the process, trust the messages, and above all, trust the immense, wise, and powerful river of life that flows through you. Your greatest journey is waiting. If you found this useful, continue exploring with us.